Hey there, how you doing? This is Mr. Paul. Welcome to my studio today. I hope you're having a good day so far. Got kind of cold last night. I hope you're all warm and safe and not too bored. Not too bored. Um, Today, what we're going to do as an art project is I want to teach you a little bit about uh, two different categories of art. One of them is there's many categories of art, but for right now, we're going to talk about two different categories of art. One of them is what's called fine art. You know, paintings and sculpture that you see in museums or in art galleries. People buy them to put in their home. That's really a category called fine art. But there's another category, a group of art that's called commercial art. Commercial art is uh, somebody comes to you, like a company, and says, I want to hire you to do um, artwork to sell a product, shoes, soap, that kind of a thing, right? And it's a very creative process, but the difference between a fine art uh, artist and a commercial artist, and they can be the same thing, but there are some that are just commercial artists and there are some that are just fine artists. But basically, what you do is you create works of art to sell a product, like soap or what have you, right? And a good example of this is, let's take this. I found this, it was very easy to find. It's for soft soap. Somebody, an artist, actually put this together. I noticed that these are not real photographs, right? These are actually painted. The bottle's painted, the flowers, the lime, the leaf. The only thing that's not painted probably are the letters, right? So this is a good example of what commercial art is. Let me show you another one. Yes, I'm hungry too, but we're not going to talk about food right now. Here is another. That just didn't happen, right? There's a creative person called a commercial artist. Kraft Foods went to this company and said, "We want you to make this advertising this product for us." And the Kraft Foods or whatever, the people that are hiring, what they do is they kind of give them an idea of what they want, and then they let the artist kind of do what they do, be creative, and make something that looks like this. So today what we're going to do is we are going to create what I would call kind of a commercial art endeavor, a commercial art project. Now, another thing I want you to keep in mind is that, let me show you this just so you'll have, this is what I did today. Now, that's not a really great advertising thing, but and we'll talk about that. We'll get into this in a minute. But another thing that you have to remember is that photographs in like advertising, like in on television and magazines and comic books and on the internet, photographs only started being used in a commercial ads like we were talking about since since 1850. That's a long time ago. So everything before 1850 were hand drawn, right? And this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it kind of old school. Heck, now they have computer programs and stuff that you can, commercial artists use photography and the computer, and they generate these different images and pictures and different fonts, which is like the style of lettering and numbers. And so back a long time ago, if you were trying to sell something, it was all handmade. It was all, it was an artist, like a fine artist, that would create everything that you would see back then. Yeah, that's even older than I am, right? So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a poster that has this message. Be smart, be brave, be kind. And I tell you what, I want to tell you something. This is what we repeated to my daughter when she was little. I'd whisper to her every night, be smart, gotta be smart. Be brave, gotta be brave. And most importantly, be kind. She heard that all of her life, right? Well, now I've got a granddaughter, and we're teaching her the same thing. I think this is a good message. And so today what we're going to do is we are going to make a poster that has these words in the poster. That's what we're doing today. Now, I've used just colored pencils and markers. You can use paint, you can use oil pastels, you can use any kind of thing that you want. You can add pictures to it, more designs, any way that you want. But this is what we're going to do today. Now, again, you don't have to do it just like this. You can do it any way you want. But if I was, let's say, if I was a company and I'm going to hire you, right? Listen, you're a great artist. I want you to make a poster that is going to be on billboards and stuff all over the Oklahoma City, all over these big signs all over. And I want you to create that sign. One of the things that I would like for you to do is the words need to be bold, and they need to be able, you need to be able to read them really, really well. You can use any kind of color, you can use any kind of pencil, any kind of materials that you want in this poster. Okay, so let's start up. Before I did this poster, I tried to figure out how I'm going to make this sign. I figured I was going to put B, 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 and then put the three things in between. And again, you don't have to do it this way, right? I'm just saying that this is what I decide to do. So when I did this, let's see, be smart, I need to make another A. Hope I can do this upside down. Got an E down here. Now keep in mind, guys, you have to plan this out. If you make the letters too big, you're not going to have enough room for everything, right? So if you kind of, no matter how you place the words, make them about this size. If you make them about this size, you are not going to be having any problem. But if you start out making the letters really, really big, you're going to run out of room, and that's no good. Okay, let's do this kind. Now, how do I do this again? Let me see. Am I doing this upside down right? I don't know. You try to do it upside down. Okay? So, this is the startup. So, again, I want you to make the letters big and bold. And what I did, and I think you can do this too, you can either use a marker, or you can use a dark colored pencil, or even use the same pencil but really make it darker. And what I'd like for you to do is go around each one of these letters and make the outline of the letter much, much darker. Remember, as a person that's going to hire you, One of the things they said they wanted is they wanted to be able to read the letters, read the phrase easily. Like if you're walking down the street and you look up at at a big billboard with this sign on it, they'll be able to go, wow, I can read that really well. Bam, 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 you can read it. That's what we want. Anything else you do is just fine. Don't worry about the coloring. Okay, once we did that, you need to choose. Now, this is what I did. And again, you can do it any way that you want, right? But what I did is I decided, if you look at this one, I decided to do the three B's in the same color. That's what I did. And then I chose another color for smart, brave, and kind. And why I did that is because there's a lot of big words on there. If you make them different colors, they become very distinct, meaning they become, they're easier to read because they're not all the same color. So choose your colors to where you make them very distinct. So if you, let's say if we did them all in blue, I don't think it would be as eye-catching, right? But using a bunch of different colors really makes each one of those very, very different. And again, you are not, because we're pretending that we are commercial artists, we're not doing it for just us. You are doing this for a client. A client is somebody that's going to pay you good money to make this artwork for their company. So you have to make it to please them. That's kind of the another difference between a commercial artist and a fine artist that just stays in the studio and creates what he wants. There's a difference. And the cool thing about this can be a very good job. I know a commercial artist that lives in California, that he's been a major commercial artist for a long, long time. He worked for Walt Disney for a while, and now he has his own company in LA. And just by making other people's ideas into art for their company, he makes a lot of money. You know, he probably makes about $500,000 a year. But not all commercial artists are going to do that, right? But my point is that you can make a really good living out of doing this kind of art. And again, we did this all. I just did this all with my own hand. Commercial artists now, they use the computer and they use photography. Think about that. So keep that in mind while you do this. So I've got this one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to color in these letters in such a way to where they're going to just be solid, right? I'm going to try to color everything in and try to stay within the lines, right? And make it a solid color. Solid. Try to do it in such a way where you get rid of all the white that's inside of that letter itself. Let's see, how about green? I'm going to do the kind, start with the C. And again, I've done this a lot, so I can do this rather fast. Take your time on this. I suggest that when you finish, you can hang it up in your room, give it to somebody that you think needs it. When I think of kind, I think of, for some reason, I think of green. You know, like out in the forest and in the trees. I don't know. That just kind of always makes me feel that would be a kind color. You may not think that, and that's okay. I told you earlier that up until 1850, there were no photographs in magazines or in, like signs for companies and stores on the street, that kind of a thing. There was this one artist that kind of, I look back and I think he changed everything. Back a long time ago, like 50, 70 years before 1850, some of the greatest artists of their day, and of course, this was back in Europe and France and Italy and England and Spain and stuff like that. Some of the great artists of the time were commissioned to make incredible pieces of art for their advertising. And one of those artists was named Alphonse Mucha. I know that sounds is a weird name, but he made the most beautiful giant posters for wine and bicycles and you name it, everything. And they would and so now if you run across one of those original posters from that time, they're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's really kind of neat. At one point, again, back then, there wasn't really photography, right? So if you wanted something really, really spectacular, they hired these major artists of that time to create these beautiful, beautiful advertising posters. Now, keep in mind that was before radio, and that was before TV, and it was way, 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 way before the internet, right? So if you were gonna advertise something, you did a lot of posters and billboards, right? Another thing too is that if you've noticed, I have put just this border, this line border, kind of like a frame, right? But instead of just leaving it this and coloring it in, I decided to do the zigzag, making these triangles. And so what that did is it framed the message, right? It framed the message. And if you want to color in the background of your poster, what I want you to do is if you make your letters really dark, like I did, what you need to do is you need to color in the background really, really light. That's what's called contrast. When you put something really, really dark and something really, really light together. If I had put real dark colors in the background like I did my letters, it would all be the kind of the same darkness, and you wouldn't be able to see the letters as well as you can here. See how these letters just really pop up? That's kind of what I want you to do, is to work on this. This is something, now keep in mind, you can make all different kind of posters. In my classes that I have in school, we do poster work a lot that we do in school, like we put them up in the schools to do, like no bullying. We did a contest where we did a no bullying poster contest, and the winner won a big candy bar or something. But what we did is that we made these really cool posters, and we were allowed to put them up all over the halls in the school. So think about that too. If you like doing poster work, and if you think the idea of doing an advertising, a commercial advertising, if you ever think that, well, that would be kind of a cool job to have, you can go to college and you can actually learn how to do it, and maybe you can get to a point where you can make a really good living and still be really, really creative. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to, I need to set up for something else. I'll be right back, and we're going to continue on this discussion of what a commercial artist does and how they put together a poster where it's a successful poster. Because if it's a real boring poster, nobody's going to look at it. And if nobody's going to look at it, nobody's going to buy the product. Nobody's going to buy that soap, right? If they look at it and they go, oh, that's ugly, that's terrible, and continue to turn the page. Anyway, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Well, listen, I hope you're continuing to work on your poster, right? I think that this could be a fun project, not just with this message, but any message. You could make posters for, stay out of my room, or I'm hungry, or leave me alone, or I'm going crazy. You could do all kinds of posters using this idea. Uh, Maybe a next one you could do is you could add flowers or you could add robots. You could mix it up. Use your imagination. The more creative. This is kind of simple. I wanted to try to keep it really simple, and make sure that your posters you can read the words really really well. Because if you can't read the words very well, it's not a really good poster, right? Now, when I have my classes in my school, I have the kids right there, and I see what they do, and I really miss that. That's one thing that on this virtual art classes that really drives me nuts, is that I can't see the finished products of all the stuff that you do, and but that's just how it goes right now. When I do this project in my class, I kids ask me, why did you choose this phrase, this thing, these words? Again, I used to whisper it in my daughter's ear, and now I whisper it in my granddaughter's ear. I think these three things are really, really important. And kind of really now, especially right now. It's, we're quarantined, and people are worried, and I just think that right now these three things really are maybe even more important. Be smart. Be smart means I'm not talking about, you're good at math. I'm talking about be smart about the things that you hear. Make sure that they're real. Look them up. Talk to your family about them. Talk to other people if you've got questions about what's going on. Just be smart. Just don't believe everything you see on the internet. Make sure that you've got your information correct about what's going on today, because that can help a great deal if you really, really know what's going on, even at your age. Be brave. I'm not talking about running into a burning building right now. That's a different kind of bravery. But being brave is that I don't want you guys to be fearful. Yeah, things are a little crazy right now, but you're smart enough and you're big enough to understand that weird stuff happens all the time, and being brave through all of this is only going to make you a stronger, better person. And I tell you what, the most important thing right now in my book is to be kind. We need all the kindness that we need, that we can muster right now. It's so important that when all these people are working and, getting out there in the world and, fixing cars and, stocking groceries, and all the incredible doctors and nurses and first responders that are out there just doing this phenomenal job. Be kind. It's, if anything, that's one of the main things that I try to live my life with. I would much rather be known for being a kind person than a rich person. So I just want you to think about that when you finish this project. Just think about what those words really mean. If you can remain smart and you can remain brave, and by all means, if you remain kind, that's the mark of a good person. And I know that you're good people. So listen, I will see you next time with a different project. I think we're going to be doing some collage work next time. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's a lot of fun. So stay safe. Um, don't be bored. Remember what my grandma said, boredom is a choice. I am never bored. And take care of yourself. And of course, it's kind of cold today, but it's going to be nice in a couple of days. Try to get outside, get some sunshine, and I will see you next time. Take care.